Welcome to Your True Calling. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Dr. Michelle Chappell, a psychologist and a rock star. I've helped thousands of people find their true purpose by discovering their one-of-a-kind superpowers. Each week, I'll share tools and client success stories to help you find gifts you don't know you have so that you can thrive in a career that fills your soul and passion projects that make you feel whole. Hello, everyone. I'm so pleased to be back talking to you today. It's been a little while. I've spent the last few months getting a book published, The Power of Authenticity. It was a #1 release on Amazon, and I urge you to check it out. And today, what I want to do is tell you about my fabulous friend, Sandy Weaver. We actually did this interview at the end of 2025, and oddly, it's more pertinent now than it was then. The job market is really cool right now for all of us, but especially graduates. This seems like the right time to put this podcast out. Sandy is a professional speaker. She's recently been on the cover of Women in Business magazine for being a successful competitor in dog sports, and for many years she was a major radio personality. She's had a lot of different careers, and she's learned how to pivot when there's very little opportunity out there. Even though it was a different time and a different place, she too had to take her innate superpowers and repurpose them for the world that she found herself living in. She's going to give you some great ideas for how you can do the same. Let's get into it. Hi, Sandy. I'm so glad you're on my podcast today. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Michelle. I am so excited to, first of all, see you. I haven't seen you in ages. And second of all, so delighted that you thought of me for this podcast. I'm excited.
Oh, of course. You are a woman of many talents. And so, what I thought I would do with listeners is just sort of summarize a few different things that you do, and then we can dig in with questions. Does that sound good?
That sounds perfect.
Okay. So, you have competed in dog sports for over 30 years, and you are on the cover of the 2025 Power Women Elite magazine for Women in Business as a champion dog handler expert. Brava.
Thank you. That was really quite the honor.
I know.
That
And
was
it's a
fun.
beautiful picture of you on the magazine cover, too.
But that would be Lori K. Stone. She is a phenomenal photographer. And if you're in the Atlanta area and you need headshots, you need Lori K.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
Okay, you're also a major market radio personality turned podcaster. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe you did work in Georgia, in Boston, DC, and Virginia. Am I covering all of that?
Northern Virginia, but it was really the Washington, D.C. area. So I worked at 3 different radio stations in the Washington, D.C. radio market, but one of them happened to be based in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, Arlington, right?
Exactly. Yep.
I lived in Arlington and I went to school in DC, so I know what you mean.
So,
Everything's
yep.
really close together. Okay, very good. You're also a keynote speaker and a damned good one.
Thank you.
You have been the president of the National Speakers Association in Georgia, which is where I met you, by the way.
That is where we met. Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
back in 2014, 15, and you interviewed me on your show, Happiness Recipe, back then.
Which was so fun. That was June Klein and me, and we had so much fun with that podcast.
I know, and you actually asked me questions about my music, which was so nice because a lot of times people don't do that. They just
And
gloss
you
over it.
gave me your CDs, and you are amazing.
Oh,
I love your music. You're
oh,
so creative.
oh, thank you. No, that's very kind of you. Okay, and you're also an author, which I want to talk about too. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to dig into all of these different parts of you, which are fascinating. But first, I just want to quickly let new listeners know what this podcast is about. I'm a psychologist and a coach, and I help people find their unique talents and passions that they may not know they have, or they may know they have them, but they're not confident in using them. And I have found that once people find their natural superpowers and own them, they tend to find their purpose. So that's why I have this podcast called Your True Calling.
I love Your True Calling. It's such a fabulous name for a podcast. It is very you, Michelle.
Oh,
It is.
thank you, Sandy. I can tell you're such a pro at doing this. Thank you. It's nice to have a conversation with you. So this year, the podcast focuses on helping people connect with their power. And I thought you would be a perfect guest because you are becoming a recognized leader in the field of dogs and dog sports. And I thought why don't we just dig in there first?
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Okay. So tell me who you work with and what you do with them.
I'm going to back up just a little bit and tell you how bad I was when I first started showing my own dogs.
Beautiful. Let's go.
I sucked. There's just, I mean, not to put too fine a point on things, but I was not good. And so most people have actually never even been to a dog show. But if you think about watching Westminster Kennel Club on television, the people who are holding on to the dogs are called handlers. And the person who is in the center of the ring is the judge. And this is one of the only sports, if there exists even another one anywhere, where the professionals and the amateurs compete on the same level. They
Oh,
don't compete in different tracks. They compete head to head for best in show. And professionals being professionals, the really good ones, and even just the very good ones, and even the so so ones, work at building a relationship and training the dog and moving themselves properly so that they look really polished and really good in the ring. And so owner handlers go to a dog show and they see the professional handlers making it look really easy. They don't see the work that goes into it.
mm,
And so they think it's easy and they don't put the work in. And then they wonder why they get beat every single weekend.
mhm,
That was me when I first started. It took me a while to realize that there was some work that needed to go into it. And then fast forward, I guess I'd been showing dogs for 2 decades and I decided I was going to be a judge. Well, actually, people kept saying, Sandy, you should be a judge. So I said, well, okay, I'd never really thought about it, but maybe I should be a judge. So I pursued that. And when I started being the person in the center of the ring, I saw all the mistakes that I was making. I
ah,
saw the lack of preparation. I saw the lack of confidence. I saw the lack of training on the dog, and I saw the lack of confidence on the dog. And that's when I decided, maybe I should teach a training class. And so I taught a training class for a few years. And then my my business coach, Pegeen, you probably know Pegeen. My business coach had been going, Sandy, this is not your audience. This is not all the different audiences I was trying to speak to. She kept saying, well, this is, you're getting close, but these aren't your people. And so one day I just declared to her in a coaching session that I was going to not abandon everybody I'd ever worked with before in my life, but I wasn't going to market to them anymore. If they wanted to come to me, that would be fine. I would love to work with everybody that I've ever worked with or people in those industries. But I wasn't going to market to them anymore. I was going to really put my focus on the people that I love, the owner handlers.
mm,
And my goal is to, I say I bring out the inner winner in owner handlers, but my goal is to help them see that with just a little bit more effort than most of them have even know they have to make, but just putting in just a little bit more effort, they can get a lot more results in the show ring. Will they beat the professionals every time? If they work as hard, they can
mm,
because they can build a better relationship with their dog.
mm.
So that's the long way around of getting to how do I work with these people? And so I offer one-on-one coaching. I still teach a handling class. I do monthly online seminars. I have online training courses on my website. You can just go buy the course and take it whenever you want to. I do little short videos on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram so that people who are showing their dogs can get just a little 1 minute tidbit of something they could be working on.
That's
And
one.
sometimes for the dog's confidence, it's just as simple as the one I put up very recently. Take your dog with you when you run errands. They like to smell the smells and hear the hears and see the sights. And then it's not so scary to them when they go to a dog show because they've gone other places.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think about that. They,
Yeah.
they figure this is easy. It's going to be easy for me. It's going to be easy for the dog.
It's cool how you can see other people's and dogs' perspectives. and helps you, I think, become a better trainer and teacher and coach.
I try really hard to grasp, to understand their difficulty
Mhm.
from their where they are in their learning process and in their journey, because it does make it easier to explain to them instead of me just telling them what makes sense to me. If I can look at it and say, "Oh, I see what you're doing there." And what you're doing is you're trying to encourage your dog to come with you. But in actuality, what you're doing is you're dropping your left shoulder back and your dog is paying attention to your body language. And so that your left shoulder going back pushes them back farther behind you. If you really focus on bringing your left shoulder forward, the dog will come up with your shoulder. It's almost like a magic trick, but dogs read our bodies way better than we know they do.
That is so cool. So I have a weird question for you. I am a psychologist, and we like to dig into childhoods. And I was just curious, when did you first know that you had a love for dogs? How old were you?
Hmm. I guess we got our first dog when I was 8.
Okay.
I have a younger brother who is 5 years younger than me, and my parents were very, really good pet owners in that they knew that a 2-year-old and sometimes even a 3-year-old, depending on how mentally advanced they are, um, doesn't understand the difference between a stuffed dog and a real dog. So they didn't get our first family dog until the youngest was old enough, and at that point he was between 3 and 4,
Okay.
and he did get it. I mean, they still understood, but man, when Bobby came and joined our life, my heart went to the dogs. It was just like, I mean, I'd always liked playing with my friends' dogs, and well, can't we have a dog? Can we have a dog? No, we can't have a dog yet. But then when we had a dog of our own, it's like, yep. And I've never been without a dog since.
Mm. Did
Never.
did you know when you were younger that you were interested in training them, or were you already doing that naturally, or did that come later to you?
No, my dad really liked doing dog training. He liked teaching our dog tricks. And so I would watch him teach her a trick or teach, we had a couple. I'd watch him teach the tricks, but honestly, that wasn't mine. Um, I had different chores in the house and the dog was not my chore. But and I say that like dogs are chores, but they do require work. And the breakdown in the house was my brothers got the dirtier chores and I got the cleaner chores, except for having to clean the bathrooms. So, but but no, I just love dogs. And I'd never, I mean, this was in the time before the internet and
Mhm.
the time when, the television had 3 channels and you had to get up and walk across the room and switch the television. So the only thing I knew about dog shows was the punchline to that Henny Youngman joke, or she's so ugly I wouldn't take her to a dog show. That's all I knew about dog shows. I didn't know anything until I got my first Siberian. And then I made all the mistakes you can possibly make when raising a puppy. I made them all. And by the time he was 7 months old, he was about 40 pounds. And I asked my veterinarian to please put me in touch with people who were successfully living with Siberian Huskies because I was failing and I did not want to be that owner.
And how old were you when you got the husky?
I was 21,
Yeah.
off on my own. This is my dog. And I wanted him to be my dog. I didn't want to be that person who just, got a puppy and then when the puppy wasn't cute anymore, took it to the shelter. That happens a lot. And that's just not me. I mean, I was not raised to be irresponsible. I was raised to take my decisions and then make them right.
Yeah.
If they weren't working, figure out a way to make them work. So my vet understood what I was going through, and she put me in touch with some people who were part of a Siberian Husky club in the Washington, D.C. area. And that's when I was exposed to the world of dog shows. And I remember going to my very first dog show, and I didn't know there were that many different breeds of dogs on the planet, much less in one park on one beautiful Sunday afternoon.
Mm.
It was just like whirlpools of beautiful dogs going around the ring, and the bug bit me. And then it was like, okay, so and even though I didn't think I knew anything about dogs at that point. I looked at the Siberian Huskies that were in the ring, and I didn't have my dog with me because unentered dogs are not allowed at dog shows. So he was home. Um, but I looked at those dogs that were in the show ring, and I thought about my dog, Alex. And there was the club member who was with me, and was kind of explaining how the dog show was working. Leaned over and she said, "These dogs are beautiful, aren't they?" And I said, "Yep, I think I need to neuter Alex." I could see what a bad representative of the breed he was. With without even knowing, I didn't think I knew anything, but apparently I did. I had an eye for dogs. But yeah, it was, my decision was Alex is not going to be a show dog. Alex, what else can I do with Alex? I can do obedience classes with him. And he and I did obedience classes and we had a lot of fun. And did we ever qualify and get an obedience title? No, because I didn't know what I was doing. But he was a really good learner dog.
Hmm.
And then I bought my first show dog, and my life completely went to the dogs at that point
Oh,
because that's been my hobby since 1979.
wow.
Now, I say dogs are my hobby, and that offends some people because they think, well, dogs are living beings. They can't be a hobby. So that's shorthand is dogs are my hobby. The honest truth is dog sports are my hobby. My dogs are my loves.
Yeah. I can feel and see the passion. When did you know this was it for you? How did you know? How did it feel? The reason I'm asking is because people who are listening right now may not know what their passion is yet or what their calling is yet. So I'm trying to help give them some clues. So how did you know it's like, yeah, this is it for me?
It was like a wonderful, horrible relationship. Maybe a horrible, wonderful relationship. It was a hobby for a long time. I had my radio career and that's what I was doing. That was my 6 days a week job. And then on my vacation time, it got to be the point where one vacation a year, I would go visit my parents. And the rest of my available time off, I was at dog shows. And I'd plan my dog show calendar out a year in advance. I'd like plan my vacation time. I'm going to this show and I'm going to this set of shows. I'm going to the national specialty. And oh, I'll tuck in a long weekend with my parents. I'll find a holiday weekend that is 4 days. Like sometimes 4th of July can be a 4-day weekend. And so I'd tuck that and make that my parents' vacation or Christmas. And the rest of it was all dog shows. So when I got started doing it, I loved it. And then there were pieces of it, mainly people-y piece. And this was a big learning for me because there was a point where I walked away from dog shows. And it wasn't because of the sport, it was because of some of the people in the sport and the way they behaved.
Mm.
And they it was bullying behavior, it was ugly, it was and not just to me, it happens. I mean, anytime you have any level of competition, you're going to have people who Nancy Kerrigan, you know? I mean, they go around whacking people on the knee. They just they look at you and they say, well, you look like competition. I'm going to break you down.
Mm.
And so I stepped away, and it was a couple of years probably. Didn't step away from the dogs, didn't get rid of my dogs because, as I said, my dogs are my loves. But I did walk away from the hobby for a couple of years. And then I realized I missed it
Mm.
a lot.
Mm.
And then I thought about an idea popped into my head. It's like, why do I let people that I would not go to for advice? I wouldn't even want to sit down and have a meal with them. Why am I letting them control my life?
Yeah.
Why am I letting them say what I will and won't do? And so it was that little, just getting my back up made me just, okay, I'm going back. I'm going to go back to the dog shows. I'm going to get the premium lists. I'm going to enter dog shows. I've got to get my dogs back in condition. And I'm just not going to be anywhere near the people who are bullying like that. And when you stop paying attention to the people who get under your skin, it leaves you so much energy for the people who will root you on and have fun with you and be your really true friends at the dog show or in whatever pursuit you're doing.
Mm.
Don't let the people who you wouldn't take their advice, you wouldn't ask them for advice. You
Yeah.
don't want to have a meal with them. Don't let them ruin your pleasure in something that feels so good to you.
Yeah,
And
that's a
so
beautiful answer. I think that's really good for listeners to hear. I mean, drawing boundaries and finding your tribe, your real tribe, the people
the
who,
real tribe. Yeah.
yeah,
Again, in any kind of competition, you're going to have people who'll do anything to win. And there are going to be some people who will, I'm going to put up air quotes, help you. And when what they're actually doing is making sure that when you're entered against them, they can beat you
mm,
because they're giving you, again, air quotes, advice. So, yeah, there's any kind of competition, there's going to be those people not, and they are in the vast minority. There will be those people who will do anything to win.
mm.
And so you just have to learn how to tune them out.
Boy,
And then they don't hurt you.
yeah, that's good, good, good. So important, so valuable, and nobody has talked about that yet on my podcast. So thank you for sharing that. That's
My pleasure. My
very
pleasure.
good and important wisdom.
Okay, dear listeners, I just wanted to take a pause and check in with you. Now, Sandy has shared some very interesting ideas that apply to you. One of the first things that I want to point out is that your calling does not have to be in a career, it can be in a hobby. Research shows that only 1/3 of people find their purpose in a profession. So don't put pressure on yourself to find it there. In fact, I was a psychology professor for years, and I discovered that I could sing and play guitar and write songs at the same time. And I did it as a hobby for a really, really long time before I became a professional musician. If you do hope to turn your hobby into a career or an entrepreneurial pursuit someday, it's a great way to develop your chops, to develop your superpowers and become really good at what you do and understand what you specifically offer the world without having a lot of pressure on you to make money. And if you're saying to yourself right now, well, that's nice, Michelle, that you could, teach psychology by day and be a musician at night, and on the weekends, I don't have that kind of energy. This is what's really interesting. It turns out that if you have a creative project on the side, it gives you energy. It helps you to be more resilient, and it actually helps you to be better at work, according to San Francisco State University research that shows that having a creative project makes people better at their jobs, more likely to be promoted, better problem solvers, better team players. So you really can't lose. I'd really like to urge you to pick up a hobby that you might have put down a long time ago because you didn't have time for it and reconsider, especially if it is calling to your heart. And that's another thing that I want to point out that Sandy shared with us was her amazing passion for working with dogs. I mean, it just shows, I don't have to say much more. I think you could tell. That is another way to know if this is a calling for you. It's also a way to know what your superpowers are. Also, did you notice that Sandy fell in love with dogs very early in her life, and she's had a dog her whole life? That's another indication of when a passion or an ability is a superpower. It's something that comes to you early in life. What I love about this interview is that Sandy also shed light on something else that nobody else has talked to me about yet. And that is, you can find your calling, you can realize what your superpowers are and be using them, and have people not be happy about that. In Sandy's case, she had to deal with people who were competing with her. And that happens in a lot of workplaces as well. It's happened to me. It can also be that family members or friends aren't happy when you start to do well, when you take a new direction in life. To be honest, I was really surprised that after my book came out and did really well, some of my friends were just cheering me on and so excited that I've spent so many years writing this book. They know it's been a calling for me, and I finally achieved it. And they're my biggest fans. But what surprised me, and what is still kind of I'm grappling with, is some people were not happy about it. I mean, some people gave me a cold shoulder. Some people ignored me. And a lot of acquaintances just couldn't care less. It's a learning curve, but it's okay. It comes with the territory. When you begin to use your superpowers and you begin to answer your calling, life doesn't always applaud you. And that's where I love Sandy's advice and her honest share that she left her calling and came back to it after she discovered that just don't waste your mental energy on the people who aren't with you and surround yourself with people who are. In the next part of our interview, we're going to talk about what happens when you find your superpowers and you know what your calling is, but there's just no opportunities out there to do what you came here to do. It's all about pivoting. Let's go. I'm going to switch gears, and this may seem a little old hat to you at this point, but I did just want to talk to you a little bit about the radio broadcasting. I'm just curious, like, when did that bug bite you? And yeah, when did that bug bite you?
Sixth grade, but it had
Oh,
nothing to do with radio.
what was
It,
it?
sixth grade, I was cast in my very first stage play, and it was Oliver Twist, and I was one of the ragamuffin kids in the chorus, and that's all it took. I knew I wanted to be a performer. That was my first passion. And
Ah,
I didn't really know what performer was going to look like, and I didn't care. It could be on the stage, it could be on the television, it could be on the movie screen. I never considered that it could be on the radio. But when I moved, we were in Northern California through most of my high school. We moved between junior and senior year to Columbus, Georgia, which was whiplash culturally, as you might imagine.
yeah.
And I moved from an area where there was lots and lots and lots of performance opportunities to a town where, they might have had one movie theater that played first run movies, and the rest of the theaters in town played things that had been out for 2 years. So there wasn't anything there. And here I am doing my senior year in high school thinking, oh, going into my senior year, I knew I had the path. I mean, I'd been written up in San Francisco newspapers for how good I was on stage. And so I knew that I'm in California. This is where it's at. It's going to happen for me. Yay. And moved to Columbus, Georgia. And no, I was all the way across the country from where I thought I was supposed to be.
Oh,
And so, through the senior year, I'm like, okay, so how do I get there from here? What do I need to do to get there from here? And one day, as I was driving from my last class in high school to my after school class at Casual Corner at the mall, um, I realized there was a guy talking on the radio in between the songs. And I figured, he lives here. He's getting paid to be on the radio here in Columbus, Georgia. I could do that. And that's when I was 17, 17 when, and I think I was 18 before I got my first job in radio. But I started off right out of high school.
did you like it right away?
I loved it. No, I was terrified, but I loved it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I still remember probably the most, well, one of the most frightened I've ever been. Not the most frightened, but one of the most frightened moments in life was reaching for the microphone switch the first time to do my first live on the radio break.
Mm.
If there hadn't been a large burly guy standing right behind me, and his name was Steve, thank you, Steve. He was there to train me and help me get my first shift right. If he hadn't been standing right behind me, I'd probably still be running. I was so scared. But, after a few of those, and I didn't die. Okay, I didn't die. And I don't think I've said a bad word on the radio yet. And, I sounded like an idiot, but it's okay because I got the song started and now the song's playing and I can figure out what I have to do next. I have 3 minutes to figure out the next thing I have to say. So, yeah, as with anything, there's a learning curve.
Yeah.
And I was on the very steep leg of the learning curve. But what I wasn't on the steep leg of the learning curve of was as a performer. I had the technical radio piece to learn,
Mhm.
but the performer piece I already had.
Right.
So I was in a small market for less than 2 years before I got my first major market job. There are most people who work in the radio never get a major market job. And I spent my entire career in major markets, Boston, Washington, D.C., and Atlanta.
Yeah, very cool. That's interesting. Is the performer in you also in speaking? Are you expressing yourself that way as well?
Yeah. Yes. I love being on stage. It was really funny because in radio, you are in the studio by yourself.
Right.
Even if you have a news person, they're in a separate studio. You might be able to see each other through the windows, but you can't feel each other's energy.
Right.
And so when I stand on a stage, either as a performer or as a speaker, I love the energy feedback that happens. Or I do in-person seminars with the dog people, and just that energy feedback. I know what they need. They know what I'm giving them. They can feel that. They can feel my passion, and they can feel my knowledge, and I can feel when I'm giving them what they need, or giving it to them in a way that they need it, or if I need to adjust. I just, after all those years on the radio, almost 40 years on the radio, it's very cool to have an audience that I can feel now.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm also a speaker and a singer, as you know, and you can feel it in the audience that
Yeah.
something's changing. There's an energy shift, and you have to address that in some way, which some people are scared of, and some people are enlivened by. And I think you're enlivened by it. I think I am too, because it's an
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So would you, okay, so radio broadcasting and speaking are maybe two aspects of the performer in you, would you say?
Yes.
Would you?
And
Yes, please.
so is judging. As
Oh,
an
go on.
AKC judge, it's a little different performance, and some of the handlers aren't ready for it. But but I'm putting on a show for the people at ringside. I'm helping them understand, helping them see the dog the way that I see it. And so sometimes I do that very subtly just with my hands. I try really hard not to do it with my face. But
Yeah,
like if a dog is moving and it looks really bad, I try not to make a horrible face. But but sometimes I might stop looking at a dog that's moving badly
yeah,
earlier than I would stop looking at one that's moving well. So
yeah.
people who are used to watching me at ringside know what I'm telling them. And then the handlers, a lot of judges don't say very much to the handlers. And sometimes I just feel like playing. And sometimes I get the feeling that I've got a ring full of people that I want to play with. I judged for the Beaver Terrier Club of America. I was so honored recently to judge their sweepstakes at their national specialty. Now, sweepstakes means you're not officially a judge yet, but you can do this. It's kind of like a practice judging. Um, and the puppies were just bad, but I mean bad in a good way. They were cute as they could possibly be. Every last one of them was adorable. And one class I had three puppies in it, and I said, okay, I'm not giving out first, second, and third. I'm giving out naughty, naughtier, and naughtiest. So, and it just, I mean, it makes people laugh, and it breaks the tension, because two of the puppies in the ring were very naughty. They were really stressing their handlers out. So when something like that happens, I try to find a way to make the handlers laugh.
Yeah.
And so they liked that naughty, naughty, or naughtiest. They just all relaxed. It's like, it's okay. You know, great show dogs come from puppies who have fun, and your puppies had a lot of fun today. So,
Yeah, yeah. You know what
so
I like about that example too? One of the things I've noticed in a lot of my clients that people don't realize is you can mix your gifts together. You don't have to have a gift over here and then a completely different gift over there, and they can come together like they do for you. Because that's
right.
right, because your dog experience and your performance, your natural performance come together there.
Yeah.
I think you
And
do
that
that a lot, actually, don't you?
I try to.
Yeah.
I try to take my skills and weave them together. And that's really, the older I get, the more I realize that for my entire life, I've been making a tapestry. Thank you, Carol King. My entire life, I've been making a tapestry. And so I'm more conscious of the tapestry and more conscious that I am the weaver, pun unintentional, even though that is my last name. Uh, um, I'm the weaver. And so in moments like that, where people are getting stressed, if I can weave a little humor, or if I can weave a little ease into their life as I weave my tapestry, then I try to make it all work.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I think what I'm also hearing is that you're using your gifts as a service to others.
that's how it feels.
Yeah.
That's honestly, I have worked with some wonderful industries with wonderful people and felt like I did really good work for them. But I think when you know you're in the right place, I mean, we have to make a living. We have to be able to pay for the roof over our head and the food that our dogs eat and the
Mhm.
food that we choose to eat.
Mhm.
So we have to make a living. But when something feeds you in a different way, sometimes you go like, could I just be independently wealthy so that everybody can have this, not just the ones that can afford to pay me? You know, I would do this for free. If there's any way I could do this for free, I would do this for free.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't charge anybody. So, okay, hear that, Powerball, Mega Millions? Come on, shower the cash. I guess I have to buy a ticket first, right? Just shower the cash, and I'll be just doing this for free. This feels like a calling.
Yeah. When we were going back and forth earlier and you said, well, how do how will we know if it's a calling and will you lead me to it? I was just about to say one of the big signs that something is your true calling is you would do it for free. And then you just said it on your own. So there it is. So Sandy, as we wind up, do you have any advice for listeners based on your own experience about how they might find their talents or their calling in the world?
I'm going to quote the title of a book that I read maybe in the 90s. Do what you love, and the money will follow.
Mm.
And then I'm going to add to that, trust yourself. Don't let other people tell you what you should feel or what you should value. Feel in your own heart what you do feel and what you do value. Do what you love, do what you value, do what you feel is what you need to be doing. And just keep going. Don't worry about what other people say, and the money will follow.
Oh, this was great. I'm so
This was fun. This is such a
was
good
fun.
concept and so perfect for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love your answers too because they really show the pitfalls and the twists and turns of the journey.
It is a journey. Yeah.
Listeners, I hope that you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Sandy grew up with a calling, and it was to be an actress, and she was really, really good at it. And then her family moved to a little town in Georgia where that was not going to be an option for her. And she was able to stand back and see the bigger picture of who she is. And who she is a performer. And that can come out in a lot of different ways. She can be an actress. She can be a radio personality. She can work with show dogs. She can be a speaker. It resonates with me because, I started out as a psychology professor, and I loved that. But then I left that career to become a singer-songwriter. And then I wrote a book. Yay! And now I'm an author, and I'm a podcaster. And you know what ties all of those things together is that I'm a communicator. And I think maybe even more than that, I'm a teacher. I want you to take a moment and think about what your natural gifts are. What are you called to do? Don't worry about whether there's an option to do that in the world right now. Just take account of what you bring to the table, what makes you different from everybody else, and be willing to develop that, and be willing to look at it from different angles. It is a tough job market right now, and the ability to stand back and see yourself from a more objective point of view, to be able to see all that you bring to the table, to be able to do the work to develop parts of your skills so that you can stand out from others is truly going to help you, and it's also going to bring your life so much meaning and purpose. I'll put a link to Sandy's work and to my new book in the show notes. Thank you so much, Sandy, for sharing your wisdom with us today. Thank you for listening to Your True Calling. Please leave a review and share it with your friends. From my website, yourtruecalling.org, you can follow me on social media, learn more about my music and my coaching, contact me to find your superpowers live on the air, and help me produce future episodes by funding me on Patreon.